Hello everyone, this is Raj. Welcome to the world of Salesforce. Today is the day 48 class where we are going to discuss Apex execution lifecycle. Right? So what is this Apex execution lifecycle? Assume that I'm a Salesforce developer, right? So whenever you are writing any Apex code, right? So what are the steps it is following in the backend and how your program is going to save? If there is an error, how it is going to return back to the user, right? So let me show you one picture here. See, yes. Okay. Okay. So this is the Apex execution life cycle. So how this process is. So assume that, see here, let me zoom it. So I am the developer. So I am the developer. I have written an Apex programming. So and it is saved as .apxc. Yesterday's class I have discussed, right? So .apxc format. So this is the Apex code which I have written. And when I click on the save button, right? So I am sending a request to this force.com platform, right? When I click on the save button, I am sending a request, uncompiled Apex decision, because there might be an errors also. So this is an uncompiled Apex, whatever the code which I have written. So it is sending to the force.com platform. In this force.com platform, we are having one application server and one metadata repository. In this force.com platform, we are having application server and metadata repository, right? So when I click on the save button, so I'm sending a request to this application server. In this application server, I'm compiling my Apex code. See here. So Apex compiler is compiling my Apex. If there is any compilation errors are there, right? So it is going to resolve it. So and then it is the sending the final code, right? The compiled without errors. There is a final code, right? The compiled Apex code is going to save in the metadata repository. There is a one storage space is there. So in that it is going to store in the metadata repository. Suppose there is an error, right? Suppose there is an error. There is a compilation errors are there. So then what is happened? So it is giving some response. Right? It is sending back the response, the compilation error response to the user, to whoever developing the code, right? He is sending the response to the user. Got it? So what are the compilation errors means, like syntactical errors or a lack of system resources are there. So due to this, let me write down here. So what are the compilation errors like? Like syntactical mistakes are there, or lack of system resources, right? So see here. So when I click on the save button, it is sending an uncompiled Apex to the application server. Here, if suppose there is an error is there, right? Let us say some syntactical error, some I missed some semicolon, right? Like this, some errors are there. So it is sending back to the user that this is the syntactical errors, or this is the lack of system resources. So I am unable to save the code. Lack of system resources means there is no any field. Let us say in the account object you are writing a code. Let us say there is no field of some XYZ. There is a field you have not created in the system, but you are using that XYZ field in Apex code. That means there is lack of system resources. There is no field you have created in the system, right? That is nothing but lack of system resources. So those are nothing but compilation errors. Then it will send response to the user that these are the errors, please resolve it, and click on save again. So now he resolved it. Like let us say he removed that XYZ field and added the semicolon. So now there is no errors. So he clicked on the save button. So Apex compile is compiled it. Okay, there is no errors on this. So now it is going to save in the metadata repository. The compiled Apex code is saving in the metadata repository. Now Apex runtime engine coming into the picture here, right? So Apex runtime coming into the picture. What it is going to do? It is requesting the metadata repository that this person has saved just now some .apexc format. He has saved the one file and one Apex file is there. Just retrieve me that file, right? So he is requesting the compiled Apex code to the metadata repository. That means he is asking. This Apex runtime engine is asking the whatever the code which we have saved. So this like Apex classes, controllers, classes, triggers, Visual Force pages, whatever it may be, right? So as of now, we are discussing about Apex classes, right? So now Apex runtime engine requesting the metadata repository that please send me the Apex class, which this person has written, which this developer has written. Okay. So he's saving with the name of, let us say, some account Apex class is there. So account Apex dot apexc format. So Apex runtime engine is asking for that account Apex dot apexc file. So now this metadata is repository is sending the requested Apex code to the Apex runtime engine, right? And then it is connected to the database repository. This is the database. In order to sending and receive the data, it is a database repository, and it is sending the requested Apex code to it. Now it is going to execute the Apex code, right? While executing the Apex code, let us say if there is any errors. What type of already we have resolved the errors, then again why we are getting errors here, right? So these are nothing but compilation errors. That means just a syntactical or a lack of system resources. But here, whenever you are executing the logic, just it is saving for saving purpose these errors. But here, of course, your program is perfectly fine, but your logic is wrong, right? But your logic is wrong. Right? Let us say for you have created in the account object, you are trying to create an record. So in that account object, let us say industry, rating, active fields are there. So in the backend, you have activated them, you have written a validation rule, right? So validation rule means those fields, industry, rating, active, these fields are mandatory. But while executing the code, while executing means while inserting an record inside the database, right? So while inserting the record into the database here. So let me note down here this. This is the database. Now you are executing the code by inserting a account record into the database without industry, rating and active fields. That means the required fields are missing. Up to here the program is perfectly fine, but you are missing the logic. You are missing the values of required field. You are missing the invalid input fields. Invalid input fields means yes. So whenever any number field is there, you are trying to insert some text. So, but code is correct, but you are trying to insert wrong input values. Then we are getting these runtime errors. Those errors are known as runtime errors. Here we are getting some runtime errors. Runtime errors we are getting here. What are the runtime errors? We looks like due to wrong logic. Okay. Missing of validation, missing of values in a required field. Okay. Or let's say due to invalid input values. Invalid input values. For these three type of errors, there is no necessary like see here the program is perfectly fine. It is looking perfectly fine. That means the program is saved into the database, right? While executing, then only we will face this type of errors. So while executing the program, if you are facing the errors, those errors are known as runtime errors, like due to wrong logic, missing of values in the required field, or invalid input values. So it is unable to save into the database. Then again, it is sending back the request to the developer. Your particular logic is wrong. Some values are missing. It is an invalid input value. Like that, it is sending the response to the again to the developer. No, whatever the result it may be. So it may be the error result, it may be the true result. So it is sending back to the developer. So a developer again modifying all the values, whatever the required values is there, he is modifying the code and he is clicking on the save button. He is verifying about if any syntactical errors are there. So now it is compiled and saved into the metadata repository. Again, he is executing the code. Right now, this system will check that if there is any runtime errors. If there is no runtime error, the code is perfectly fine. Right, the code is perfectly fine. Right. So that means the runtime errors are also not there. Then system is retrieving the result and it is sending the response to the user. So your particular code is perfectly fine and I am executed the code. So these are your debug logs. There is our log file is there where we are going to see whatever we did, like if there is an error or if, how the system has executed step by step process. So all this will be executed, all will be noted in this log file, right? And this success log file also will be sent to the user. So this is the success log file. You, if you want, you can look into it, right? So like this. So and the record is saved into the database. Got it? So this is the Apex life cycle, Apex execution life cycle, right? So one quick review here, see. So whenever developer executed the Apex programming, in order to execution, there is some process is there. So he is going to write and he click on the save button and the program is checking for any compilation errors in the application server. Right, this is the server side controller. All these are the server side controller. So here is the server side Apex application server, it is checking for the compilation errors. So if there is no any compilation errors, it is saved into the metadata repository and the final code. So in order to execute that code, it is requesting the application service requesting the metadata repository for the execution. Right after the execution, if there is any system is checking for the runtime errors are there. If there is no any runtime errors, it is executed and sending the HTML response to the user. Okay. So while saving this, sending to the application force.com platform, right? When you click on the save button, while sending the data to the force.com platform, it is sending in the form of header information will be there here. Header information will be there. System IP address will be there. System IP address will be there, right? And browser information will be there. Browser information will be there. OS information will be there, right? User information will be there, user ID, right? And as well as organization ID also it is going to capture, right? Whenever you are saving the Apex code, so into the force.com platform, it is taking all this information, header information, IP address, browser information, user ID, organization ID, OS information, all this information it is going to consider, right? Whenever you are sending the Apex code to the application server, which is in the force.com platform. Okay. Now, so let us see now the next topic. Let us go for the next topic here. Hope you understand about this execution life cycle. So now, what are the various building blocks here? So Apex is providing various building blocks. Building blocks means the pillars. Okay, various building blocks of this Apex. right? Apex program providing here. So the first one is data types, variables. In order to go into the Apex programming, we need to understand about these things: data types, variables, operators, and output statements. And output statements. So what is a data type here? What kind of data we are storing in a variable, right? Data type means what kind of data we are storing in a variable. So during admin concept also we have seen this data types. So whenever you are creating any field, there are different data types are there, like a pick list data type, text data type, right? A text long data type, checkbox data type, like this. So that means you are going to save some kind of data. So pick list means you are going to save some choices into it. So checkbox means you are trying to save some true or false data into it, right? So mainly data type describes the mainly here what type of data the particular variable is going to hold and how much memory we need to allocate for the variable. Here in this data types we are having two types of data types are there: primitive data types and S object data types, right? Primitive data types and S object data types, right? So in the next class, we are going to see, so what are these primitive data types? What are these S object data types, right? And what are these variables, operators, and output statements? Okay. So if you are having any doubts at any point of time, just mention in the comment section. I'm going to respond to those comments. Okay. Keep following this channel for the latest updates. Thank you.